In this lesson, we'll learn about a powerful new tool in Illustrator CS5 that will redefine how you use strokes. Alright, so I'd like to take an opportunity to introduce you to the Width tool. Now the Width tool exists right here in your toolbox, and the keyboard shortcut for that is going to be Shift-W. So let's go ahead and select our Width tool now, and let's go ahead and move down here below our artwork. I've got here a line segment drawn, and we've got a 5-point stroke applied to this line segment. Now what the Width tool does is it's going to allow you to customize the width of any stroke simply by adding what's known as a width point. Now it's important to understand that a width point is not the same as an anchor point. We don't have Bezier handles on a width point, and a width point is only going to apply to a stroke. So let's go ahead and add a width point to this line segment here. I'm going to go ahead and select that, and let's go ahead and click and drag up with our width tool. Now you can see here that I've pulled out two sides to our width point here. We've got a side above our segment and below our segment, and we've got the width point here sitting right on the segment itself. So with this width point, we can actually click on that, we can drag it along our line segment, and you can see how the stroke width adjustment is transforming based on the position of this width point. Now I tell you what, let's go ahead and drag in a few more width points here. Pull one in there, and we'll pull one in here as well. And let's go ahead and hold down Shift and move this width point here. You can see here how the other width points are adjusting based on the position of the width point that we're moving here. Now we can also actually hold down the Shift key and select each width point here. And you can see we've got all three width points selected. So you can see the little blue filled dot over each width point. By doing that, we can select them and move them all at the same time. And they're going to change position based on how we drag them along that line segment here. So pretty cool. We can actually double click on our line segment and actually access what's known as the width point edit dialog. And here you can see we've got two sides. We've got our side 1 and we've got our side 2, and we've got a total width of the two sides here. We can actually link those two sides together by clicking on this little chain link option here. That way we can use these little arrow keys and adjust both sides at the same time. We can actually unlink them and adjust each side independently of the other side. So we're not restricted to uniform changes as far as these handles go on our width points. We can change one side independently of the other side. Now we also have a little checkbox here that says adjust adjoining width points. If we go ahead and check that, you're going to see that the changes we've made to this point are going to be considered by the other width points here. So let's go ahead and do that, and you can see here that change and how it's affecting the other width points. I'll tell you what, let's go ahead and just cancel this. I've showed you how to adjust each side of a width point independently through that width point dialog window. Let's go ahead and just do it with our keyboard. We can actually click and hold down the Alt key, and you can see here we're dragging and modifying one side of our width point alone, and the other side is staying fixed. So it's a really quick way to create the look of a custom stroke on the fly without even accessing that width dialog menu. So I'll tell you what, let's go ahead and delete that one just by hitting our backspace key. And I tell you what, maybe we want to actually change this stroke to look like something a little more familiar. Maybe we want to change this to look like a torpedo or a missile. So let me just go ahead and drag some of these width points around here. Maybe pull in a few more. Just like so. Let's go ahead and pull this one out a little bit here. Pull one out here. Alright, looking pretty good. Now, what happens if we drag one width point into another width point? Let me go ahead and show you that here. You can see here that that snaps into position right on top of this other width point, and let's just zoom in on that. Now what you can see here as a result is we've got sort of a slope in our stroke, and when it reaches the point those two width points overlap, it takes a hard turn up or down, and we've got this nice flat edge here. When two width points like this sit right on top of each other, it's called a discontinuous point. Now we can still access their handles and modify them just by mousing over each point. Now you can see here, if I mouse over the one that is a little bit narrower, we've got these two handles here. And if I mouse up a little bit, we can still got these other handles right up here. But let's go ahead and double click on this discontinuous width point, and let's see here what the width point edit dialog looks like. Now you can see here that displayed our options for 2 width points now instead of just 1. So it may be easier at this point when 2 width points overlap each other to go ahead and make your changes in the width point dialog window. So I'll tell you what, let's go ahead and cancel this. So let's say we've gone ahead and finished creating our shape here. We've created our torpedo shape. Let's maybe pull in one more width point right there. Just modify these just a little bit here. Alright, so that looks pretty good. Let's say we're happy with our width adjustment here, and we want to save this. We want to actually be able to reuse this custom width on a number of different shapes that we're going to go ahead and produce. So I tell you what, let's go ahead and just select this, and let's look up here in our control panel. Now you see here next to the stroke width we actually have a little bitty preview of the stroke width adjustment that we just made. This is called a width profile. Let's go ahead and drop this down here. Now in this drop down you're going to see several default width adjustment profiles that come included with Illustrator, and some of them are kind of neat looking, but we've actually created a custom one here and it's not shown. So I tell you what, we can actually save this width profile that we've made and reuse it on future paths or future strokes. So let's go ahead and just hit this little save button right here, and after doing that, let's go ahead and name this. Let's call this missile. And now if we look at this width profile drop-down menu, you're going to see the last one is that new profile that we've created. Now, if we ever need to reset this width profile menu, we can hit this little round arrow right here. Or if we want to delete maybe just one of these width profiles, we can use the little trash can right here as well. So let's go ahead and just deselect this shape here, and let's go ahead and pull in another line segment. And let's go ahead and, we've got a 1 point stroke applied, and I tell you what, let's go ahead and apply our width profile that we just created to this. And you can see here that not much change. Now this is important to understand. When you apply a width profile to a stroked path, in this case a 1 point stroke, that 1 point is going to equal the widest point in your width profile. So right along in here, on this new path, because it's a 1 point path or 1 point stroke, the widest point here is going to be 1 point. So that's why we can't see anything. Let's go ahead and just increase that in size. Let's go up to maybe 60 points. And you can see here how the width profile is more visible now. So let's go up to 100 points and see what it looks like. Alright, I think that's much better. So you can see here how the point size that's applied to your stroke directly affects the stroke width. Now, let's say for a moment that we decide, well, we like this, but we want this to go the other direction. We want the front side of the missile to be on this side of our path, the back side to be on this side. Now, there's nothing here in the control panel that's going to help us to do that, but if we come over here and look in our stroke panel, down here at the bottom you're going to see that exact same width profile drop-down menu here. So again, we have access to that drop-down, but immediately to the right of that there's a couple of new buttons here. We've got our flip along and our flip across buttons. So let's go ahead and flip this along this path. So we'll just go ahead and click that button, and you can see here how it changes the direction of our path. So now our missile looks like it's going the other direction. So again, this width profile has been saved so that we can use that on any shape. So let's go ahead and maybe pull in our ellipse tool and draw in an ellipse. Let's go ahead and set this one to, I'll set it to about 80 points, and let's go ahead and select our new width profile and see what that looks like on an ellipse. That doesn't look quite so good. Now you can see here how that width profile has been stretched along this closed path. So you can see here just really an unlimited amount of possibilities when it comes to the width tool in Illustrator. And there's just one other thing that I'd like to go ahead and show you regarding width profiles. We applied that width profile to this ellipse right here. Let's say we decide we don't want that profile applied. We can easily just come up here to our width profile drop down, and the very first option is going to be this uniform option. That's going to remove that width profile from that shape. So you can see here that we've applied that default 80 point stroke again to our ellipse. So I'd like to encourage you at this point, go ahead and play with some width profiles, have fun, and see what kind of unique width profiles you can create within your own documents.